The active ingredient of marijuana, THC.
Dr. Danielle Pawlenty is at the forefront of what has become one of the hottest fields in science, marijuana research.
When you first started doing this work, doing this kind of research, did people sort of roll their eyes at you and say, oh, he's looking into marijuana?
Oh, nobody could care less. It was great. You know, I love these situations because so very few people would take us really seriously. Because, I mean, marijuana, you know, there's cocaine, there is heroin, there are such important things to work on. Why you're working on marijuana?
Dr. Pawlenty began studying marijuana because of a discovery made in a lab halfway around the world 15 years ago. Scientists here at the University of Jerusalem in Israel found a chemical in the brain that functions exactly like THC, the chemical in the cannabis plant that makes people high. But why would we have a chemical like THC in our brain?
We thought that maybe it has to do something with happiness, if you wish.
Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, the same man who had identified THC in marijuana in 1964, also led the team that discovered this new THC-like chemical in the brain.
So we have the brain cannabis and we have the plant cannabis, and they do the same things.
Scientists call the new chemical an endocannabinoid. Endo meaning inside the body, cannabinoid after the cannabis plant.
And the big question is, why do we even have it? Why do we even have something similar to what it is in cannabis? Obviously not to make us high. I mean, nature has no function for a high, but nature has a function for changing mood, for changing pain, for stimulating appetite.
All of which, it turns out, are affected by endocannabinoids, along with balance, memory, digestion, nausea, reproduction, and even bone growth. How does one system do all these things?
The body has developed all sort through evolution, all sort of ways of setting the threshold a little bit up or a little bit down and moving things around. And all these things work in our daily life without us even knowing it. We don't feel high.
It's nature's way.
That's nature's way. The reason why we feel high when we smoke, somebody else smokes marijuana, is because all these receptors that we have in the head, in our brain, are activated all at the same time.
To demonstrate what that means, Dr. Mechoulam's students showed us a simple experiment. This mouse, the control mouse, has eaten nothing but his normal food, and he's doing what a mouse normally does, sniffing, listening, checking out his surroundings. But this mouse just had a dose of THC, and he's not going anywhere. Why? Let's take a look at what's happening inside his brain. Here at the junctures between his brain cells, you'd normally see endocannabinoids, those pink molecules, constantly locking into special receptors which make tiny, subtle adjustments in the brain's chemistry. But introduce THC from the marijuana plant, and the endocannabinoid receptors in the brain will all turn on at once, causing the rush of sensation that we call getting high. And this mouse is definitely high. But if you want a really dramatic example of the endocannabinoid system in action, consider the case of Dr. David Livingstone, the famous 19th century missionary explorer who was attacked by a lion in Africa.
And he was in the clutches of the lion, and reportedly he said that I was there and I was scared, senseless, but I could feel no pain. And he concluded, well, the good Lord has created this way, this system whereby when we are in the most stressful situations, we no longer feel pain. Now, if you think about it, it makes sense. Say you're an animal in the wild and you're escaping a predator and you're hurt. The last thing you want is to feel the pain because you want to run. You don't want to interfere with your major behavior, which is run away and save yourself. And it turns out that really the brain endocannabinoid system plays a major role in this phenomenon, in this stress-induced pain killing.
And here's how that phenomenon looks in the brain. As each brain cell gets the message, I'm in pain, It passes that message as a chemical signal to the next cell. But waiting at the juncture of those cells are endocannabinoids, which, in high-stress situations, block the chemical signal and so block the pain. And once scientists understood that, then they could start making medicine, according to Dr. Pawlenty.
We want to affect the system in a way that, unlike THC, that is regulated and is controlled. So you can take a pill that will kill your pain, improve your mood, but not give you a high.
Your point, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the kind of developments that you're working on, breaking down the compounds in the cannabis plant, then mimic them with synthetics, is controlled and targeted for specific things inside your body.
That's the hope.
A hope that's about to be realized in Israel, where Dr. Meshulam is working on ways to use the endocannabinoid system to treat depression and osteoporosis. And in France, where the pharmaceutical company Sanofi Aventis is already marketing a weight control drug that works through the endocannabinoid system.